I said we keep starting the discussion, the conversation by just starting with a question: is the boy child, the male child, different from the girl child? Is there a way that we need to we're saying we want to get it right, God's way from the beginning, but we've got to first understand the differences between a male child to a girl child. So all our conversation today is focusing on the boy child. So take it away, Mrs. Renny.
So the question is the boy child different from the girl child? It seems like a simple question, but there's so many dynamics to it. There's the science perspective, there is the developmental perspective, which is child development, and there's also the Christian perspective. So if I'm going to go with the science first, because of course my BSc and MSc has to do with science, we did, that as well. I guess we are looking at the X and Y chromosome. So if you're looking at science, if you're looking at biology, and biology says the fetus, the egg, which the woman, when it's fertilized by the sperm from while the woman gets pregnant, is identified as an X chromosome. That's the default. That's what science tells us, that, the default is XX. And then it tends to develop, the egg then develops. And if you think about this, when women get pregnant, at some point in time, the parents want to say, oh, is this a male or a female? And the nurse, the practitioner, or the doctor will say, oh, the egg needs to be developed to have developed to a certain time of the month, how long the pregnancy is, before we're able to determine if this is going to be an XX chromosome, which is female, or XY, if I'm right, which is, the male. So in that perspective, when the egg is developed to a certain level, then the practitioners, I think you're, from the medical health profession, then you'll be able to tell parents that, oh, you're carrying a male, you're carrying a female. That is how the first differentiation between a male and a female child. Then, of course, the chemical, which is the testosterone, makes the male child different from the female, the level of testosterone, because some females still have testosterone, but the most distinguishing chemical between a male and a female child is the testosterone. And that develops, the baby, the fetus, onto when the child is then born. And we are able to say, oh, mostly I would say 98% of babies born. I don't want to say 100% because we know God is a God that chooses what to do. Most of them tends to be male and female. So then we know that this child, from their sexual organ, when they're born, is a male or a female, or is a boy or a girl. Then we go on to child development. And child development starts from the moment the child is born, because then, the nurses or the doctors will tell how in the UK, how the health visitor will come to the house to help the parent. And during that time of, the first 3 to, the early years, we call them the early years, and the early years tends to be not to 8 years. For more younger, if I want to be more specific, there tends to be no difference in, they don't tell you as a parent, oh, you need to raise your boy's hand up to exercise. They just tell you, your health visitor comes to the house and tells you the kind of things you need to be doing with your baby, your baby, or make sure you're feeding them. And when I think about it, when I saw that question from you, it took me back to when I did my MSc Applied Child Psychology. And one of my professors, one of my lecturers said, because we were focusing on early years, that in the early years, there tends to be no distinction between the male and the female child, because of you are focused on just ensuring that they develop. You know, you're focused on ensuring that their developmental stages, be it social, be it emotional, be it physical, you know, they are developing, and that's what the nurse, the health visitor, or the doctor is mostly concerned with. So, you know, so it tells you that, you know, from the womb, at a certain point, there will be a difference. Then when they get to like the first, 6 months, babies, the focus is the development of the child from the professionals. They're not saying, but of course, society has an impact as well. Okay. And we psychologists, we say the nature versus the nurture debate. Oh. So we say nature is biological, that is natural things. There's really nothing you can do about, except for medicine and science has made us realize that we can change a bit of nature. But nature, when you leave it, the biological effect, you know, I spoke about that. Then the nurture, which is the environment comes to place. And the environment as the baby grows up is when parents will say, okay, supposedly I want a blue, blue outfit for my baby boy because it's a baby. I want a pink outfit for my baby girl. You know, this is mostly what people, when you look at the vast majority of parents across the world, you know, blue is associated with boys and pink is associated with girls. But that is the society, that is the environment, you know, that is the parents now forming the child. Some parents, when they don't know they don't find out the sex of their baby, they just go for neutral colors.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that the nature of the scientific tells us at a certain stage from the womb the sex of the child, or if the child is going to be male and female. Then we have the nurture, which is the environment where the child is going. So then that would decide forming, you know, the differences between the boy and the girl child. The culture the child grows up in will define it as well. You know, different cultures, the society, we live in the UK society, it's completely different from the Nigerian society. In the Nigerian society, we have the Hausa, Igbo, and the Yoruba, which is cultural. So the environment, the nurture tends to play a lot of role in, apart from the nature, which is the XY or the XX chromosome, which is God's definition of creating male and female and the testosterone, then the nurture with the environment comes. So I hope that kind of gives you an answer to the question. I know I went through different aspects of it, but yeah, that is the distinction between the male and the female child.
Yeah. Thank you very much for answering that. And I think you've laid a good foundation in terms of the genetic makeup of the boy child is different from the girl child. The physical makeup is different. Mm-hmm. There are loads of differences between the boy child and a girl child. And having that understanding right from the beginning. And there's something that people do, and I wonder why they do that. Why people were pregnant, they speak to the pregnancy. They speak to the pregnancy, and I think at some point I did that as well, because you have the understanding that even though they are not out of the womb, they are still in there. They can hear you. People pray for their baby rights when they are in the womb. They declare things about the baby. They say positive things. So I believe that the moment the baby comes out, the moment you deliver your child, And like we said, we are focusing on the boy child.
Yes.
I believe before the society begin to play a role, I think the parents are the first person, they are the first people that should play a major role in the life of a boy child, of a male child.
Yes.
And one thing that I want us to establish in this conversation is that you have to be intentional about the boy child. You have to be intentional. You do not wait until they become grown up before they learn certain things. And you do not wait till, until they become 10 years, until they become 20, or before they become 30, right from as young as the moment they are born, if I can put it that way.
Yes.
You start instilling into them the right values that they will grow up to understand, they will grow up to learn. Being a child psychologist, can I also sort of reframe the question in terms of, I know I've heard about the stages of child development, 6 months old, 2 years old. What do you think parents should be aware of, or should take note of, or what are some specific changes or some specific things that parents should be aware of in the different stages of boys' development? 6 months, 2 years. I know there's saying the naughty 2 years or something like that. But from a child psychologist, that you understand the development of children, but now we're saying of boys. Can you just tell us one or two things around that?
The question is really important, and the answer also is quite relevant as well. From the age of, you focused on 6 months, the foundation is the child, you understand, because of even the child is not aware if he or she is a female or a male, if he or she is a boy. But you said the parent, absolutely. The parent are the first society the child is going to know. The parent are the first environment, because of it's where the, except maybe for unforeseen circumstance where the parents cannot look after the child, then you have carers to look after the child. But the main carers or the parent are the first nurturing individuals that the child, the boy child, is going to come across. But for the first 6 months, the only thing the child is getting from the parent is, okay, maybe the way the kind of clothing they decide to wear for the child, making him know, building that male perspective in him. Maybe they focus on blue. Some parents choose the kind of toys they want their child to, we practitioners, we don't distinguish between the kind of toys you can give children nowadays, because we believe children can, a girl can become an engineer, or a girl can become an architect, and a boy can decide to be a chef. But yes, exactly. But parents can say, okay, because I have a male son, I want him only to be playing with society sees as male directed, like, just the cars, because it's the parents leading the way. The child doesn't know anything. So the parents are already forming that foundation on how they want their male child to go. If you are a parent that you're like, okay, irrespective, I have a male son, I just want him to explore the world with the kind of toys or the way, then you can decide to go that way. But you as the parent, as you said, I like to use the word intentional as well. You are the one leading the way, and it's your choice. It's down to you, your choice on how you want to raise your male son. The results you get at the end of the day, because of you, the foundation, play an important part. You, the environment, the child, the son, the boy is interacting, play an important part. So for the first 6 months, there's really, I mean, when you want to think about food, you don't say a particular food is for a male or a female child. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Food is to nourish the baby.
Definitely.
But you can decide on the kind of toys you want, the kind of, the clothes you want your child to wear. But as they grow older, when they hit the age of 1 year, 2 years, you're setting boundaries. I have a lot of videos that in this year that I'm doing, I'm looking at for every month of the year, I've been doing videos focusing on the each year until the age of 12. And for this month, I'm focused on the 5-year-old. But if you're looking at the 1-year-old, the 2-year-old, the 2-year, let's say the under twos or so, you're setting boundaries, you're putting how the child is developing, how the child is relating to people. If the child is going to a nursery, if it's a boy or a girl, you wouldn't say, I know some cultures do. Some cultures will say, oh, because it's a boy, he's meant to go to school. Because she's a girl, she's not meant to go to school. You understand what I'm saying? Some cultures do that. Even at a very young age, some cultures at a very young age. Some people have different rights, cultural rights they do if it's a male child. I was reading recently that some cultures in some Sahara African countries, they have different songs they sing to their individual child. But the thing about it is that it's always down to the parents, the environment the child is, the environment, the nurturing environment the child is.
Yeah.
So whenever the boy comes in the future, whatever actions you're seeing in the future is being at the foundation of the interaction, the nurturing environment the boy child was in. The child, I know as they grow older, we're going to look at that in the future, then they have peer pressure. But the foundational age, the age of, there's really no, the pressure they'll be getting is from their immediate carer, which tends to be the parent. A child, if you have a boy and a girl, as a parent, the way you interact with your boy child and the way you interact with your girl child, the moment your child become aware, conscious of this, they will start acting like that. If you show your girl child less respect compared to your boy child from the age of, I would say, 18 months, they are already knowing that. They can see that because of their consciousness. They are making choices. They can say choices. I would say, I don't want to say from 12 months, but I would say averagely from 18 months, 14, 15, 16, they are becoming conscious of those choices. They are knowing that if you have a boy child, my sibling who is a girl, if I do something as a boy child, my parents will let me get away with it compared to my sister who is a girl child. So already, and it's not, the child didn't develop it. It's the interaction between the parents who are the first society, the first environment, the first nurturing person this boy child is going to come across. So the child, there's been so many issues regarding boy child men that's been on the social media recently. And I put a quote there that when an adult behaves badly, the child will behave baddest. I put the baddest in quote. I mean, it means the child will behave worse. So the boy child, it's what the parent have let that child get away with, even from the age of 18 months. If a child, my perspective, as a practitioner, it would be very unprofessional of me for me to distinguish between a boy child and a girl child. That is very unprofessional. That is not what we are taught. When we go, I mean, my over 20 years of being in the profession, if a parent should report me to Ofsted or anything, that is, for me, is a gross misconduct. And that's where parents needs to be going, that, look, I'm raising a human being. I'm raising somebody that is going to contribute to society. And if the information I put from my child, the moment they become conscious, conscious of their environment, in child development, sometimes we say the child or a toddler becomes conscious of their genital differences. The moment, when we're in nursery, sometimes we see they explore with their penises. They explore in, and that is when they're becoming conscious from the age of 18 months, 2 years old, they're becoming conscious. Then when they are hitting the 3-year-old, the 4-year-old, they're distinguishing between a girl and a boy. They are distinguishing because it's what society has put in place. But of course, the scientific side of the testosterone as well is there. Science has proof that the way the male brain develops is completely different from the way the female brains develop. Science has proof that. But mostly, when it comes to the 6 months, the toddler years, if the child is not going to a nursery or interacting with children of their age, the foundation, the first environment, the first nature the child comes across are the parent. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much. And I think I'm just going to re-emphasize some of the points that you've made in terms of the different stages of their development. Or the 0 to 6 months, you've said it clearly. The boy child is not aware of anything happening in that environment in terms of you set the pace. The parents are meant to set the pace at that age 0 to 6. And I think one important thing that parents can do in that age of 0 to 6 is your declaration. It's what you say to your child, consciously or unconsciously, they will become. So in that age of 0 to 6, I think is an important age, is an important period that parents can actually sow some seed of prayer, some seed of declaration. You declare concerning them. You declare what you want to see. You declare what you want them to become. And right from the 18 months to 2 years, they are already aware. You don't say to them, oh, he's still a boy, he's still a baby. No, they become aware. Why is it that even at that point in time, they don't see a fire and just go and put their hands into it. They know the pain that comes with doing that. They are aware of their environment. So it's also the duty of parents to begin to set boundaries, to begin to instill correction, to begin to tell them, don't do that, put that thing back. You begin to give them instruction and direction. So it is very, very important from the age of 18 months, you begin to be conscious of how you interact with your male child. You begin to give them instruction. You begin to give them direction. You begin to instruct them. They understand. They know. Even if they're saying, "Oh, it's just a baby." No.
Do you know what? I can't. It's a very wrong thing for parents to say it's just a child. You are raising a person. Childhood, teenagehood, adulthood, they're just stages. But at the end of the day, you're raising a person. So you would say, the Yoruba way, I don't, I know they're still children, but it's how you set the pace. You as the parent, you have to set the pace for the child, for the boy child. And,
are there things that we feel is just a girl's thing or that we shouldn't bother the boys about?
That tends to be culturally led. It's a cultural thing. I told you earlier on that the way the male and the female brain are structured is different. Science has proved it. So, but also the culture tends to play a part. But the family also tends to play a part, because as the children grow up in development, they would hit 5, 10, then they hit the teenage years. And I guess by the time they go to primary school, they get to secondary school, they themselves will be hearing of certain things a boy cannot do, a girl cannot do. And in the UK, we are so culturally diverse.
Yes.
We are very culturally diverse, because our children might come across people from Spanish background. Our children might come across people from the Bengali background. Our children might come across people from the Kenya background. So those cultures, in a way, they hold strong, those examples I've given, they hold strong perspective of how the male child is seen, or how the boy is seen, how they see them. And some believe that, the man is there to provide for the family. The man is there to protect. If we look at, if I go back to evolutional psychology as well, they say this in how, we have evolved and everything. So some responsibilities that they say, oh, this is for the boy and this is for the girl, is always down to the family dynamics or the culture the child is growing from. But because of the way, even we parents, sometimes we tend to lean forward towards the girl that say, oh, please go and do this, or please go. If you have both sexes, if you have a male and a female, sometimes you tend to lean forward towards the girl. And this is where the intentional has to come in. And you as a parent, you have to correct your behavior sometimes and your attitude if you want there to be changes. If you want that, okay, I think it's time for me to think, oh, this is only meant to be for a boy chores, or this is meant to be for you as a parent, you have to, and you say, oh,
so there's nothing like entitlement mentality in terms of, oh, the boy feel entitled, oh, it's a girl that needs to do this, is the
But some family, because of the way the boy has been raised, they feel entitled. They will feel entitled, and if you let your boy child get away with it, they will feel entitled. I mean, there was a research that was done, and it was talking about AI and how AI did. There was a study that happened, but they wanted to make a robot, a male robot or something, and they just plugged in this AI into the World Wide Web. And the information this AI was getting when it came to a male was the same thing we are talking about, oh, men are meant to do this, men are meant to do that, because the society, the information out there about the male and of course there are roles and responsibility each sex has, each, gender has. We know, science has proved it. Women are more nurturing. It doesn't mean they are not male or men that are nurturing, but it's just the general idea of it. But you as a parent, there is no chore that says it has to be a boy that does this, or it has to be a girl. And this way, as I gave that example, if you had all boys children, what are you going to do as a parent? If you're both if you're a couple, is your husband going to be saying, because I have all boys, my wife is going to be doing all the chores in the house? Or they're going to get, well, in some cultures they get house helps, like people help in some Nigerian cultures. So that is the perspective I think parents needs to have. So if I have all boys as children, how am I going to say they cannot? But of course, personality comes to play as well. You know, psychology is such a huge thing. Some of the boys, they might just say, oh, I like to do this, I like to do that. But you as the parent, you have to lead the way. The responsibility. There's a quote I have. I said, the best advocate for children is still the parent. The parent is not, before I said the first society, the parent, the child is going to come, the boy child is going to come across, is the parent. Your home is the society. Your home is the first society your son is going to come across. So how you interact in that society, you know, the Ibiyeye society is the first society your son is going to be used to. So how you interact in that society will lay the foundation of, you know, when the boys start interacting with their friends in school, as they grow older. And, you know, they will bring some ideas by the time they're hitting their teenage years. They will bring some ideas and say, oh, I'm not meant to be doing that, because of they're trying to test. You know, they are trying to set what society is telling them. But you as the parents, you need to keep taking them back.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Taking them back.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're not going to flog this first episode. Like I said from the beginning, we are just laying a foundation, and I think we've laid a good foundation by just making us have the understanding that we've got to know that there is a difference between a boy child and a girl child, and having that understanding from the beginning, that will help parents even to pay more attention to the boy child. The boy child, they've got we know their genetic makeup, we know their emotional makeup, we know their physical makeup. We need to attend to the needs of the boys. And one thing I have as one of my quotes is that well-raised boys eventually will become good-hearted men. They will become good-hearted men. So everything is about starting from the very beginning. Starting from the very beginning, we should not leave the boy child to become what will not be a blessing to the society. We need our boy child to become good sons, to become good fathers, to become responsible men in the society. But it all starts from the beginning. It all starts from the very, very at the young age. It all starts with that, having that good intention, be intentional about the boy child. And there's nothing that one can do except with the help of the Holy Spirit, with the help of God. So, having said all we've said today, it is important to ask God to help you as a mother, as a father, to raise the boy child. And one question again that maybe the last question for us to answer or to talk about is, does it have to be the father that should be responsible for the boys and the mother responsible for the girls? What is your take about that as a child psychologist?
It depends on the age of the children. It depends on how they're growing up. There's no written rule on how you want your child to, the mother taking a responsibility or the father taking the responsibility. It just, as I said earlier on, every parent, for those people that have mother and father or two parents, you know, the roles and responsibilities, people will take on the roles and responsibilities. So I don't think I wouldn't say there's a rule. I don't believe there's a rule. I'll get is who they feel comfortable with. And if you're in a household of two parents, sometimes even children, your boy child will want to play a fast one and go and tell the mom and tell the dad and want them to do loggerheads. So you as a parent, if you're not communicating, as they grow older, they're going to use your head to... You understand?
Yeah. Not that I don't know the answer to that question. I purposely asked that question to make parents to understand that you must be on the same page. If both the father and the mother are available for the birth child, both parents should be intentionally responsible in raising and in training the boy. There's nothing like go and meet your father or go and meet your father. Is your father's problem is your mother's problem. It has to be a joint work.
And I agree with that. And that's sometimes I feel that you cannot tell your parents that, oh, wait for your dad to come for me to discipline you. I don't believe in that. If your child has done something wrong, your boy child has done something wrong, as a mother or a parent, you need to discipline that behavior immediately. For those people, for single parents, how do you think they do it? How do you think they do it? And I mean, I always believe single parents have superpowers. That's what I believe. I believe as a single parent, you have a superpower. Because as a parent, that are two parents looking after a boy child, you can always refer to one another and say, oh, sometimes you might feel a bit tired. Am I saying you might not be tired? You can feel tired. But the most important thing is that there is really no time to say, oh, you know, this is the responsibility of the mother to look after the female child. It is the responsibility of the father to look after the male child. It happens, the dynamic changes as they grow older. I am not saying it doesn't change. But foundationally, if you're a household that have two parents, those roles and responsibilities will change at some point in time. For you, as the home that has two parents, you just need to ensure that you're there raising good men. Good men. That's the most important thing. Good men for the society. Leaders. Because men are, even if you look at the political strand of the UK, most of the leaders we have are male.
Yeah.
You understand? So leadership majority, we female, we're still saying, no, as you said you don't want to go into the feminist side, but it's not about, we're still saying we want equal pay. But leaders tend to be the male. Even in the Bible, the leaders tend to be the male as well. Did we have female leaders in the Bible? Yes, we did. But majority of the time is the male. So, you know, the intention as parents is to raise good leaders. And in raising good leaders is they have responsibilities.
Yeah.
You have responsibilities as a male. As a boy, you have responsibility. Not being entitled, but responsibility. And that's the, you know, that is why for me to answer that question, is he a male to... But do we all have roles and responsibility to play? Absolutely, we do.
Okay, thank you very much. You've answered it quite well. And we're just going to wrap up today's episode. And of course, one thing that I want to re-emphasize and want to say to us is the Bible says, if the foundation be destroyed,
absolutely,
what and right should do. So we do not wait until they become a full-grown man before we start now praying, oh God, intervene, oh my child is not living, my boy does not sleep at home, my boy is always going partying, clubbing, bad friends, bad influence. No, the foundation is very, very important. The foundation you set for your male child, you have the end from the beginning. You think about the end right from the beginning. You want Absolutely. Your boy child to be a true leader, to be a responsible man in the society, to be a good father, to be someone that the society can enjoy is becoming. So we need, as we start this journey, there are still so many areas that we're going to focus on. There are still so many different aspects, different topics we're going to explore on this journey. This is just the foundation, and I know we've laid a good foundation today. And I want to say thank you to my guest, Mrs. Renny Adejuwon. Thank you, people, for